It's time once again for the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
Couple meetings to talk about. There was a meeting of the council on May 20th, but a meeting before that talked about some items going on in the city and some great future planning.
Yeah.
Also a lot going on in the city in the end of May and through June and July, so get your calendars ready for a full list of things coming on, include Chalk Fest, summer concerts, 10 years for the Town Green area, so we'll give you that information in a few minutes. First, to the work session of the council ahead of the council meeting, and again, a lot of future planning going on in the city, and there's two that were discussed. The first is Project 100. Tell us where this is and what this might look like.
Yeah, so this is the land just kind of directly west of the hospital area, the Grove area up there, kind of sitting up against 94 and 610. So Ryan Companies came in to share their, they are under a purchase agreement for that property, and to share kind of what their future plans are for that area. It involves some area there for the future expansion of the hospital. Sort of a mix of uses, I think. Hopefully some office that we're hoping for, expansion of kind of the medical office users up there, as well as potentially some housing and a little bit of a mix of maybe some retail just to serve that specific area. So pretty preliminary, kind of at the 30,000 foot level here yet. Ryan Companies is digging in on some of the environmental assessment work that needs to be done as a project of this size comes forward. Clearly this is, this is a lot of land back there, about 100 acres.
Right.
And so this is a project that'll come forward over time, probably over the next 5 to 7 years in various phases of moving forward. And there needs to be some infrastructure completed, the continuation of Grove Circle there that connects up behind Home Depot and then back down kind of where the medical office and Cambria Suites is there. So more to come on that, but you'll be seeing some things coming through the council with regard to that environmental review process, and then they'll be coming through probably maybe late fall into the early winter, looking for some approvals there. But kind of just a high-level overview for the council of this proposed project.
And Ryan has been involved in other developments in the city.
Yep.
Have they been involved in others up in that same area? What pieces of the puzzle up there are theirs currently? Well,
they don't own it anymore, but they were involved with the initial development of the Grove.
Right.
Hempel Properties owns that now, so they're very familiar with the area. They have a good relationship with the hospital, and so more to come up there. But yeah, they have a lot of history in that neck of the woods.
They certainly do.
Yep.
Second item was Elm Road development. This takes us down to the southwest portion of the city.
Yep.
What might be happening there?
Yeah, so this is just due west of Vicksburg Lane, that alignment there, just north of the Plymouth border. Elm Road today, of course, if you know, is a kind of a gravel road that's been there for many years. A lot of older homes back in that area, some large lot, single family, even some hobby farms that exist up in that Elm Road area. So Gagne Development has acquired a number of properties in that area that they now feel that they have enough of a kind of a collection or massing of properties to move forward with some urban style development down there. Primarily it'll all be single family, some variation to lot sizes in there, a lot of preservation of the amenities, the natural amenities there, tree coverage, those kinds of things, some wetlands in the area as well. So Gagne has put together a plan for the initial phase of development, which includes the parcels of land that they currently own or the lots that they currently own, and then they've done some ghost platting to show, well, what would the rest of the area look like to develop and how would the roads connect and whatnot. So they held a resident meeting, a neighborhood meeting prior to this council work session where the residents of the area could come in and talk with them and talk with city staff. And then we did hold a council work session for the council to take a look at this. Again, kind of, this is a little bit of a master planning exercise, but led by a developer because of their control of some of those parcels. So had an opportunity for the council to review that. I think a lot of questions around, how will Elm Road be reconstructed? How would the assessments work? How would access be provided during that process? And so that was a bit of the focus. And I think, as we look at that Elm Road, when Gagne is ready to pull the trigger on that, there will be a feasibility study that comes along with that the residents will have an opportunity to participate in, and so more detailed information would be available about the extension of utilities and the reconstruction of that road. So yeah, kind of two different ends of the city, but yeah, a lot of future growth here in the planning phases.
Yeah, some great planning. You'll hear some of that in the council meeting as well. Let's jump to that now. The council meeting on May 20th was about an hour and 40 minutes long. One item was the major item that drew some folks from the community as well and some other property owners. So we'll talk about that in a minute. First, from the consent agenda, just one item to pull. Great program in the city is the DARE program.
Yep.
And a few notes were made just of donations. This happens because of a lot of the community businesses get involved. How does that happen?
Yeah, so we at the city need to go through a process to kind of set up a program to be able to solicit donations for this program. And so a lot of support from the community, from restaurants, you know, smaller gift cards that are provided and they're handed out to the students at the end of the completion of the program. That's kind of one of the exciting parts of the graduation, is they hand out the gift cards to the restaurants and the kids are so excited. So we really appreciate all the businesses that contribute to this program in the community, and so this is just kind of formalizing how we go about that process.
So a lot of happy graduates out there from DARE walking around town and knowing more about public safety. Let's move to community development. One item we've been tracking as it moves through the process is Upshur Smith. It takes another step in the process. It was rather short discussion. Everything seems to be moving ahead. Give us the latest on Upshur Smith.
So this is kind of their last phase of expansion on this site here. This is an expansion of almost 300,000 square feet, so pretty significant. They started off in 2002 with just under 200,000 square feet on that site, and then they added an expansion in 2012 with about 135,000. So this adds another close to 300, so we're getting up in that 650, 700 range. Pretty nice big campus here. Really excited that Upshur is expanding here. They're bringing jobs to town. They are consolidating some of their operations from outstate in Denver, and they're be moving things around a little bit here in the metro as well. But we're really happy to see them expanding on this site. As you know, they were purchased by a company out of Japan, Sawai Pharmaceuticals, a couple of years ago. The mayor went along with the state of Minnesota on that trip to congratulate Sawai on that, and so we're really pleased that they're making this further investment here. They also are celebrating their 100th year anniversary, so this year.
Wonderful.
So that's a big deal. They're going to be having some events around that and kicking off this expansion in early June. So this was approved. No real concerns, mainly just some parking. They do have some areas that they could add some parking. We call it proof of parking. But I know some of this work that they do over there can be, you know, some different shifts and whatnot. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on that, but all really positive news about this expansion.
Very good. Watch for the construction coming out of the ground. Next is Silver Creek on Main. Again, we've been watching this process move ahead and some discussion about where the buildings have been placed. Public has been involved in this process in many different levels at the Planning Commission, and they were at the meeting as well this time. This was about a 1-hour topic, so some good discussion. If you can, try to recap the discussion and where things ended up at this meeting.
Yeah, so the Silver Creek on Main really is kind of a three-phase project, if you will. And so the first phase that was built a few years ago, you know, sits right up along Weaver and Main, that hard corner there. That is a project of, you know, independent living senior, assisted living senior, and then some memory care. The second phase of the project that was built was the far east part of that parcel, and that was sold off to United Properties to do the Applewood Point project. At the time that project came through, a lot of discussions about how that building was arranged, and that building was shifted a bit to the west side of the site based on some feedback from the neighbors to the north and the townhomes. And if you recall, this project kind of sits up against Kirkwood Lane, which looks out over Central Park and the lake there and whatnot, so kind of a nice little perch there to be on. So the Applewood Point project is currently under construction. That's a co-op project, so the folks that live there buy into that project, and I think they're either really close to being sold out or sold out there.
Very good.
They have kind of a full building of residents that'll be moving in here as they move through the completion of that project. So now Silver Creek on Main is coming back for kind of the next phase of their project, which would be an expansion of that independent senior assisted living and memory care, kind of on the north side of that middle piece in between the existing Silver Creek on Main and Applewood is under construction. They had a concept plan that was approved for that site that had a configuration of those buildings. They've come back with some changes to that in their development stage plan, which isn't uncommon. Changes happen between concept and development. They're moving moving the buildings, I think, a little bit closer to that Applewood Point, adding a few units. It's still within the range of unit count that was approved at the concept stage, as well as it meets all the setbacks and whatnot. So I think the council, I think, heard the feedback from Applewood Point, certainly understands the position of the Silver Creek folks, but wanted staff to kind of go back around with Silver Creek and see if there's some flexibility we could find in terms of how those buildings are arranged to address not only kind of the proximity of the two buildings and the view sheds, but also how cars would move in and out of the site and dealing with traffic light headlights and those kinds of things.
Sure.
So this one got tabled till June 17th. June 3rd felt a little quick to get all that sorted out and get back to council. So we'll see this one come back on June 17th. We have a bit of time here till the end of July, until the deadline to get action on this one. So we'll be working with Silver Creek on Main in the interim weeks here to come up with some options, and you'll see this one come back at the second meeting in June.
Very good. And is this the last phase of their planned development for that area? I would take it it's filling up most of the property.
Yeah, so the building that they're asking for development stage approval on is kind of like 3A. It's the building on the north side of that parcel. There is another building to the south that would be, we were kind of calling it 3B, because this is kind of like 1, 2, 3 phases. The third building would be more of a long-term care unit type facility. They are looking for, they're not looking for development stage approval on that today, but it is part of the concept in terms of kind of making those shifts. So it would just be that northern piece that they would move forward with the construction on following a potential approval.
Very good. So June 17th it will come back, and we will give you an update as we head through the end of June. Next item from the May 20th meeting was the 105th Avenue North Growth Area Master Planning. This has been talked about at some work sessions and through the council as well. Give us an idea of where we are in this master planning. The pictures seem to be taking more shape. Yeah,
so this really wraps up the master planning exercise up there. We've been working on it for probably, 6 to 9 months here or so, following on the completion of the comp plan. So a lot of work here in terms of kind of understanding, what this, following on the land use options that were identified in the comp plan, and meeting with residents and understanding kind of what the concerns of the area are. Moving along at the same time has been the Northwood Church proposal. So these things have gotten a little bit intertwined, but this really is about the master planning for this area. So it lays out kind of the road alignments, what the infrastructure needs will be, potentially where some parks will be, how that development might play out. And, how that eventually develops might look a little different than what the master plan is, but it really acts as kind of a guide for the development community and landowners to kind of understand, how this could come to play out. So good work here completed, and now we have this plan to kind of reflect on as we see land uses come forward.
Is there a projection as far as the window of years that it might be developed and might begin getting work done and then be fully completed?
Well, it seems like the Northwood Church proposal with its associated residential would be kind of the first project, and that will drive some of the infrastructure questions. There will need to be, we kicked off some work on a feasibility study that needs to be picked back up here when they come back for development stage plan, and that would be a process to understand, what level of improvements the city is going to undertake there in terms of along 105th or a poly lane that has not yet been determined, and there would be process around that with that feasibility study to determine what those road improvements, what the alignments would be, those kinds of things. So I think the Northwood Church will drive that. Beyond that, it's really market driven, and it, this could be an area that takes over the next 5 to 10, 20 years. We have a lot of land use up there in, kind of that office and industry type category, and we'll see how that pans out here as this land comes to market and is available, and we have some infrastructure improvements, but very long view here at the city. Take a very long view of these things, and these things evolve over, really decades.
Yes, they certainly do.
So this kind of sets it up for the future, and then then we'll see what happens with the market.
All right,
Yep.
we will keep you up to date on that. Few other items discussed at the meeting and some reports from departments. No planning commission on May 28th. That has been canceled. On
Yep.
June 10th, there's another master plan to be
Yes.
talked about. This is the Northwest Highway 610 master plan. Give us a snapshot of where that is.
Yeah, so we hop over to the other side of the interstate from the 105th area, kind of north of the 610 corridor up to our borders with Corcoran and Dayton. Really that whole area in that northwest quadrant. And much of that land is single-family residential, so we'll have more neighborhoods extending north,
Okay.
like what you see along the County Road 101 corridor. The areas in and around kind of that 610, 94 area have a little bit more of that office, industry, commercial type use to those areas, and maybe a little bit more higher density, some opportunities for higher density type housing. But this project also on this side has plans for, the school district has some land holdings out there. Plans for another elementary school up in that Troy Lane, 101st Avenue area. Of course, the Hindu temple is a big landholder up there, and we incorporated their master plan into this area. So we do see some pressure on some of the single-family real estate up there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something pop out. We'd love to see, you know, that 610 extension completed before we add a lot more use and housing up in that area. So we're keeping our fingers crossed here for the legislative session. As they are, you know, considering what the final outcome of that will be in a special session. But yeah, this really kind of lays out those areas, a couple of park areas up in that northwest quadrant. So
Okay.
If people have an interest, all of these master plans are available on our website.
Great.
Encourage you to get out and take a look at them. Some good work's been done.
Very good.
Yep.
Another item coming up for the Planning Commission and Community Development is another Taco Bell. Who wouldn't like another taco, right?
Right.
Where might this be considered?
Yeah, they're looking at an area up by the Grove,
Okay.
up across, kind of in that existing commercial area. We've got some traffic concerns up there. You know, we dealt with that with Caribou Coffee and the stacking for the
Right.
drive-through and those kinds of things. So similar concerns with this one. I know they've been doing a lot of work with our traffic engineer and engineering department on this one. So that'll probably be a big point of discussion as this one comes forward.
All right.
Yep.
And a staffing update. There's been a little bit of movement through the
Yeah.
Planning and Community Development Department. Tell us about the latest move.
Yeah, so we were able to add an associate planner position, and Jesse Carreau, our former zoning enforcement officer, moved into that role. He's a planner by trade, so that was a great promotional opportunity for Jesse. We're really happy to have him in that role. And then Jolene Nelson, that worked out in our Public Works Department, moved into our zoning enforcement officer role following on Jesse. So we kind of have a full staffing now in our community and economic development team. So it's really fun to kind of see those positions move around and people have promotional opportunities within the city.
Congratulations to Jolene. And
Yep.
one other note of a workshop coming up. We mentioned it a few times, talking
Yes.
about the urban area. Is that correct? Tell us a
Well,
little more.
Yeah, so this is the Urban Land Institute coming in to do, they do these navigating your competitive future workshops in cities around the metro area. So they'll be coming on July 3rd, and this is going to really focus in the area of housing. So, I'm sorry, June 3rd. I think I said July 3rd. That would be unfortunate. The
Right.
4th of July Eve, we
Yeah.
won't do that. No, June 3rd.
Okay.
And so this one will be down in the EOC, and so it'll be a panel of folks from the development community, housing development community, and then another city representative, and then kind of somebody from the economic development finance end of the
good.
world. So they do a panel discussion. Planning Commission, City Council have been invited in. Of course, it's a public meeting, so folks are, you know, if they have an interest, welcome to attend.
Yeah.
And then a number of city staff, because this is kind of an issue that crosses other departments as well. So June 3rd on this one. I think we're starting at about 5:15.
All right, let's hop over to Public Works Engineering. A few updates there. One is the Castlewood area, and this kind of goes back to
Yes.
what we've already talked about,
Yeah.
and a street that's been there for a while that
Yes.
may get a little attention. Tell us how that might work.
Yeah, so some of these streets in the 105th area and the existing residential, the larger lot, single-family area, kind of up along that Holly Lane north of 105th. Some of those roads are in kind of tough condition, and over the years there's been proposals to, you know, do some improvements, and of course there's assessments associated with that and costs to the residents and whatnot, and so those projects haven't moved forward previously, but I think some of the residents up there now are thinking, geez, what could we do kind of as, maybe just a repave, maybe not take it to an urban standard, that kind of a thing.
Okay.
So some of the residents have been in meeting with our engineering staff to kind of explore that, and certainly it has a relationship to, the feasibility study that I referred to for the
Right.
broader scope of improvements along 105th and what happens on Holly Lane. So much to be considered here over the next few months as we look forward to what happens with the Northwood proposal and those infrastructure improvements. So some discussion in the neighborhoods as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Final note from Public Works: if you travel down Bass Lake Road, you are going to see some people out doing a little replanting of items. Tell us what's going to happen there.
Yeah, we've got some tough medians right now. A lot of kill of landscaping and shrubs and that kind of thing in our medians. So piece by piece, our crews are going to get through and kind of take a look at some of these. And I think the first area they're looking at is here on Bass Lake Road to get some of that landscaping replaced and refreshed.
Very good. You
Yep.
mentioned the legislature, and as we tape this, we're kind of up in the air as
Yes.
usual at this time in the month of May. But again, your two main points are still there and discussions
Yeah.
going on, and you just sit and wait. Is that correct?
We kind of do, yeah.
Okay.
We've had some discussions with our legislators, making sure they know kind of what our priorities are and what we need. So session adjourned Monday night without much agreement about things, but I know there's been lots of negotiation reported
Yes.
in the media and whatnot. So we're hoping that they will call a special session here in the next few days. It's rumored still that it could happen. Well, today's Wednesday, so maybe Thursday or Friday. I know they like to get out of there before the Memorial Day weekend. That's
Right.
kind of a marker to summer. So we'll see. We ended with two things sitting in the House bonding bill. It was a very big House bonding bill. What got agreed to is maybe like a third of that.
Right.
So, we'll hang on till we hear the final answer and keep in touch with our folks. But we're hopeful. We want to see that funding for the completion of 610 and then for our North Metro Range expansion. So we're staying tuned and in close touch with our lobbyist staff down there.
All right, hopefully we'll have a recap to give you for the next time that we get together. Final note from the meeting on the 20th, the second K-9 graduation is
Yes.
coming up soon. Big event for the city.
Yeah, so May 30th, we'll be down at the St. Paul training facility there for the graduation of Rudy and Officer Goggins. So it's always a fun event, so we're looking
Yeah.
forward to that and getting him on duty.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, so that's your recap of the meeting again from the 20th, about an hour and 40 minutes long, and a lot of things coming up in the next council meetings and planning. Let's hop to some other things happening in the city. You mentioned we've got a holiday coming up,
Yep.
so just to let people know, city office is closed.
Yep, Monday, May 27th for Memorial Day holiday,
Okay.
so pretty standard.
All right. Job-wise, we mention on a regular basis openings within the city of Maple Grove, and you've got another that has popped us. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so we're out recruiting for combinations plans examiner, building inspector. That position's open through Wednesday, June 5th.
All right, we
Yep.
can see why with all the projects that are going
Yes.
on. Summer newsletter, a lot of information coming out. When should people be watching for this?
Yeah, so later this month, you'll see the newsletter in your mailbox and focus on all the things happening over the summer months in the city of Maple Grove.
Yeah, great read and way to stay in touch. And a lot of these events we're talking about will be in there. One is the photo contest. It's time for the annual photo contest again, and you encourage people to get out and take some pictures.
Yeah, so that starts June 1st and it's open through July 16th, and you can submit your photos online through the city website. And then last year we received over 300 entries, so this is very popular, and hopefully those folks see their pictures being used in the newsletter and on social media and the website and whatnot, because we really appreciate people's contributions to the photo contest.
Number of different categories for
Yep.
youth, things going natural, people in the city, events in the city, and here's an event you might want to get to,
Yep.
and you can get to this all throughout the year. It's the Town Green, and the number 10 is important for the Town Green. What's going on with 10 and Town Green?
So 10th anniversary
Yeah.
of the opening of the band shell there. And the performances kick off on June 10th. So
Perfect.
everything's about 10 this year.
Yep.
Lots of different types of musical performances throughout the summer. And then this year they've added Friday night jam sessions, and those happen prior to the movie at sunset. And the dates are July 26th, August 9th, and August 23rd. But if you do have an interest in performing, you do need to give some contact to the Parks and Recreation Department. Information available on the website about that.
Yeah,
Yep.
great ways to spend your summer nights in the city of Maple Grove. And
Yep.
if we work into fall then, Saturday, September 14th, again, that date you want on your calendar. Tell us
Yes.
about this big concert event coming up.
Yeah, so this is our first concert on the lawn, and Saturday, September 14th. Tickets are on sale with an early bird general admission tickets of $20. That goes until June 14th, and then tickets go up to $25 on June 15th. The concert lineup includes the Gear Daddies, New Power Generation, which was the backup band for Prince, the Four on the Floor, which is, I hear, a very new popular band, maybe out of the
Okay.
Duluth area, and then Cat Perkins will be opening up. So gates open at 4 p.m., performances starting at 5. There's food trucks, cold beverages, and of course we'll be outside and hoping for great weather where rain or shine.
Yes.
So
All right.
yeah, it'll be a great evening in the park.
And it's the Central Park of Maple Grove, that
Yep.
location, that big lawn area, so it's going to be fun to see a big event happen there.
Yes.
All right, to events that are coming up, now let's go to one that has occurred and will keep occurring. This is the Farmers Market.
Yep.
Number 1 is in the books
Yep.
and success, right?
Yeah, so last Thursday, May 16th, first outdoor market, beautiful weather.
Yeah.
And now we've come through another rainy pass, and it looks like tomorrow's going to be beautiful again. So before your Memorial Day weekend, stop on by. We're there from 3 to 7, live music, and all the great vendors. I think we'll start seeing some produce, coming in as well.
Very good. All
Yep.
right, stop by and take a look. Senior Safety Symposium is coming up on Thursday, June 27th. This is an annual event. Who
Yep.
should attend and what will they learn?
Yeah, so this is the 5th annual event, and the theme this year is decluttering.
Very good. We could all use a
I think
little
I
help
should
there.
go. I think I should go. So Thursday, June 27th, seniors are invited to, and this is at the community center.
Okay.
So to attend 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. There's lots of guest speakers. There's lunch. There's breakfast. All kinds of things. Goodie bags, health screenings, and door prizes. And this is hosted by the Maple Grove Fire Department. Cost is $10 per person, and the seating is limited, and it does fill up pretty quick. So
Okay.
you can register online through the Park and Rec Department, and you can also give a call to the fire department if you have any questions.
Very
But
good.
if you're interested, we encourage you to get on and get registered quick.
Yeah, that's one of the great ways the fire department does many things in
Yes.
the community. We've got a couple more coming up here. Number 1 is fire prevention classes, so very
Yes.
specific on some life-saving techniques. What are
Yep.
the dates for these and where?
So we have Wednesday, June 12th and Saturday, June 22nd. The evening one is from 6 to 7 p.m. Saturday classes from 1 to 2 p.m. They're all held at Fire Station 4 over there on Lawndale Avenue, or Lawndale Lane, I'm sorry. And so you can give a call up to the fire department, talk with Shannon Burton, and get yourself registered. They cover topics such as smoke alarms, fire escape plans, and seasonal hazards. So just a quick 1 hour class
Yeah.
to get you up to speed.
Very good. And
Yep.
those are for everyone, obviously.
Yes.
Everyone can use that type of information. Next fire department item is more specific to people who might want to have a little bit of a career with the department and
Yep.
help out as a volunteer. Tell us how this works and, again, the amount of work and the different types of work in the fire department.
Yeah, so we're out to recruit for paid-on-call firefighters. Our recruitment period is opening up here. We rely on these citizen firefighters to respond to, traditional fires, car crashes, other hazards type situations in the community. So they do hold some recruitment meetings coming up here, and all this information is available on our website.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
there's
lots
a
of
date
dates.
in June, July, and August. We try to get through the National Night Out, and that's kind of the wrap-up of our recruitment period. And then we go through the interview selection process, that kind of thing. But we really do encourage people to take a look at this. It's a great opportunity to kind of give back to the community. It's a good part-time job, comes with a pension. Lots of great benefits of being with the fire department. So we encourage people to take a look if they have time and space in their lives for something like the fire department.
Great team. I always hear
Yep.
about the great family in the fire department.
Yes.
So take a look at that. Final note we want to pass along, annual favorite is coming up again. This is Chalk Fest.
Yes.
Give us the info about that event.
Yeah, so great free 2-day street art festival with entertainment, food, family fun right there on Main Street. June 8th and 9th, hours are 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. both days. They do on Saturday night, of course, depending on if it's going to rain or not, sometimes they cover up the art.
Right.
And given our recent pattern, that
Yeah.
might be the case. But we encourage people to come on out and check out the art, come for lunch. Come for a beverage, go do some shopping while you're on Main Street. We'd love to have you come out. And this is an event that's sponsored by the Arbor Lakes Business Association.
All right, there you have it. A lot coming up in the next couple months here, so get your calendar filled up. Go to the city's website to find out more information. Heidi, thank you very much again for your time. Let's leave you with some contact information. There you see that website, so you can find out all that information. Next council meeting, by the way, is Monday, June 3rd, 7:30 at the Government Center. Phone number to the Government Center at the bottom of the screen, and viewer response line 533-1710 if you have questions or comments about the program. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us once again.